after dark when we talk about this one.
I already hit the intro.
Welcome to the official Butthole Podcast, bringing you movies, video games, and randomness in between. Now bringing your hosts, Scott, the Great Brandino, Gage's Rage, and Star Lamar.
Fuck. What an intro. That's got to get you going, though.
Very excited.
Very exciting. That's my Borat impression. Pretty good. That might...
Maybe a little teaser for the end of the
might
show.
be a teaser for the end of the show.
That was a good impression. Not.
All right, you guys know what it is. It's the movie review. It's episode 156.
It's what you've been waiting for this all week. You're like, what are the buds going to pick for the next movie review? And just so you know, we are better than IMDb.
Damn near.
We've been way better. No, fuck their scores.
Yeah, ours are the
far more
real
accurate.
scores, the real people.
What is that, based off of millions of critic and user reviews? Command Z. What is that, based off of millions of critic and user reviews?
Yeah, fuck them.
Fuck them. This is the Butthole movie review. And honestly, we're pretty damn close to their scores, too, on every single one we've done, except for Hubie Halloween.
That's kind of how we rate our fucking system, so.
Yeah, on the buds.
A quote by a well-known listener asked me, why does Scott fuck up everything?
Answer. He doesn't actually watch the shows. That's why.
That's why?
We do have a butthole beef. I have a request.
What?
Did you watch the movie? Because we know that you get scared.
Yes, of course I watched. I think I told you guys off air. The last half hour was kind of one-eyed, peeking through my fingers.
Barely
but I
looking.
watched it. It was terrifying. I wasn't a fan of it. But I'll still rate it, and I'll still give my review.
We're about to find out.
Absolutely.
We're about to find out. So, the movie was As Above, So Below. When a team of explorers ventures into the catacombs that lie beneath the streets of Paris, they uncover the dark secret that lies within the city of the dead. Merci.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Ah, that's what it was. I heard Mercy on there, and I was like, oh, they did it again. They did it again. It turns out, au revoir.
Is just as used.
Yeah, well.
Very good greeting.
Used and abused. So, like they said, it was explorers.
Yep.
Led by, and what was her name?
Our main character, Scarlet.
Scarlet.
She's 9.
8.
8.
Yeah.
8.5.
8.5. Yeah, she's definitely...
The adventurousness of her, I think, jumped it up, and she's got a British accent.
You could tell she's freaky in the sack.
Yeah.
Well, George probably knows.
George definitely knows after that week in...
Beirut?
Turkey? Beirut.
A Turkish prison.
Yes.
Was it Turkey?
It was a Turkish prison, I believe.
That could be. So she is...
An archaeologist and also an alchemy scholar. And she is filming a documentary-style discovery of the Philosopher's Stone. Or as Star filled us in afterwards.
The Sorcerer's Stone.
From Harry Potter.
It's a full circle movie right there. I actually was calling it the Sorcerer's Stone when I was like just thinking about it and going through them. Like, yeah, and they fucking went and they got the Sorcerer's Stone, and turns out I was right. It's actually what it is.
It brings eternal life and can bring he who must not be named back from the dead.
Yes, it's
Who's that?
got some crazy healing properties.
Oh, he can't be named.
Yeah.
Or is that
Don't
his name?
say it.
I'm not going to say it.
Okay, good. So she puts together this team of explorers that is made up of Benji, her filmer, her friend George, like we had mentioned, a former lover possibly, and the chemistry was there the whole
He said
movie.
Turkey was the best time that he's had, the best week of his life. So,
You know.
That was, spoiler alert, the end of the movie.
No. Closer to it, though.
Last 20 minutes.
Have you guys ever watched the show Superstore?
No, but I've seen
Okay.
commercials and it looks
Comedy.
funny.
So that George is the main guy in it, and he's like super nerdy in it. So it's kind of weird to see him.
Like
He
a
was
playboy.
kind of a little bit a pussy at times, but he was
In this movie?
Yeah,
Yeah, he didn't want to go down to the
go in the
cave.
caves and stuff. But he was more heroic and smart, and not the character he plays in Superstore. at
If
all.
you're a pussy because you don't want to go down into the catacombs, I'm a pussy. And I'm fine with that. There's no fucking way I would go
He
down
would go
there.
into the catacombs. He just
It
wouldn't
wasn't
go
that secret backdoor entrance.
into the inside of the catacombs.
He didn't want to go into the catacombs. Though.
Not one. Well, he went through the tour. It was the when they went through the tour and discovered that their secret passage, their secret map, wouldn't get them where they needed to go. And this is where
We'll get into that. I'll explain why you're wrong.
this is where the story takes a little bit of a turn.
So they start. Well, hold on. They start out, and she's with Benji filming, and then she has to convince George to come with because she ended up getting George in a Turkish prison.
Yes,
prison.
But George
like we mentioned,
knows Arabic. It is in the opening scene when Scarlett discovers an Arabic symbol that she needs to be deciphered by George.
exactly. So she needs his help, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to do that. You've screwed
You
me
fucked me
over.
before. And you screwed
twice.
me in Turkey.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I can't do this. Okay." And then she's like, "We found the Source Stone.
No, really?
Was it in Iran?"
Where was it? Yes, and he's
she's like,
interested.
"It is. I knew it was Iran."
She sets the hook. George is in.
It's a terrible impression of his accent because he sounds nothing like what I just said. But he's fixing a clock.
Yep.
And how is it? These people, they're always in these movies, these treasure hunting, because it kind of had at the beginning like a National Treasure vibe to it.
Absolutely.
That's what
but
I was
it's on the
feeling.
back of the fucking tablet.
But a dark turn, right? But they're always so in on like the history of everything. They know like everything down to the detail about like everything that happened with this whole deal. And maybe it's passion.
It's their life's work.
Exactly. That's
It's like
like
us talking
us
about
with
football.
football.
Yeah.
Exactly like us with football.
But they're like, I suppose they're about probably maybe a little older
26,
than us.
yeah.
But
Like, and we just
30.
trust what they're saying is true.
that's true.
They could have lamical parined some of those words. We would have had no idea. We would have just took it like they're the professional.
But he
They know what they're
fixes
talking
he
about.
fixes old things. He breaks in, fixes shit, and then leaves. And obviously, you know, it's a hobby or whatever. It sounds
Yeah.
like it's just a fucking expensive hobby, though.
Ah,
It really does.
it's
To go
more
fix an
expensive
old
with
clock.
your time, you know?
Anyways, he fixed the old clock. They got it going. And then she convinces him to go down. And they find a group of 3 people.
Yes. Well, it's in their first visit into the catacombs. There's a spooky figure that says, "Hey, you have to look for this guy, Pappy. Papillon is the guy that will get you to where you need to go."
Yep.
And like we said, it's a documentary style, kind of that Paranormal Activity camcorder recording.
Yep, first person.
So they leave. They're going to leave the catacombs, and then Benji looks back, and the spooky character disappears from the tour guide. So this person also appears when they're trying to find Pappy. Kind of has a mysterious vibe to her. They talk to Pappy. He's skeptical to go down in the catacombs. You know, he needs his back scratched a little bit. And this is when Scarlett guarantees that he'll find treasures. Pappy is all in with the treasure hunting.
He wants half. She offers everything. And then George is like, "Oh, okay, all right, you're fine
the
with
phone
that.
here.
Half is a
Half
good
is fair."
amount." So he's
Pappy
got
rules in his crew of Suxi, his girlfriend, and then their mutual friend Zed, who has explored the catacombs. Those 3 they're familiar with the catacombs. We'll
Yep.
say. So
and
then,
the catacombs are a real thing.
yes, and under let's
France,
explain the
Paris.
catacombs. Yep, the catacombs are underneath the streets of Paris, and this is a place where I believe they said 6 million people had died, and it was kind of like buildings would collapse under these streets and these tunnels that are under the streets of Paris, and just trap millions of people at once, and they died on there. So it's pretty historically significant, and it kind of has that same little bit of real lifeness to it that makes it interesting.
Well, yeah, because it is real, 100% real.
Yes. So they go down with Pappy. He's showing them the way. They have to go down this like train tunnel and go into the secret entrance that just gets you to just a different spot in the catacombs versus the classical tour.
They're trying to climb up this bone mountain
Yes.
to get through this hole, and Benji's got this fear of claustrophobia, which going down into the catacombs is not a place you want to go if you have a fear of tight spaces.
Definitely not.
Right.
And the options were going through what they thought was a shortcut that would go directly to where they need to go. That was blocked off, and Pappy was definitely not going there.
But Le Dupont, Pappy's friend, went through there and never came back.
Years ago, never seen again. So
Over
that
2
is
years
why
ago.
he
Did you say
never
why
traveled
George
through.
was with them?
Oh, so yeah, okay. So the reason
While
why
they're
you were
trying to
wrong,
get-
they're going in, and then was it police came
Yes.
and
Yeah.
tackled Pappy, and they all ended up scurrying and scuttling into the catacombs, which is
to
where
escape police.
he was adamant he did not want to go. He didn't want to go in there. He doesn't do the underground, and then he got drug into it.
Yes. So George was just going to go down there and say, au revoir, have a good trip, see you next fall. And then he ends up getting roped in last minute by the police. So then they start the adventure. They have the split in the road. We could either go over the skeletons in the tight tunnel or take the
The
shortcut.
secret doorway.
They talk Scarlet out of taking the shortcut, the main route, and they end up traveling through the bones. And Benji gets stuck, and Scarlet's able to talk him out of it, calm him down. They make their way through the skeleton tunnel, and they fall down, and it ends up back at the same spot.
Well, did they make it all the way through the tunnel?
They got through that skeleton
Okay.
bone, it caved out on
It
them,
caved in, yeah.
and then they fall back down to the same spot.
now they're
And Pappy is
Shook.
confused.
He's
He
like, we
is-
shouldn't be here. This isn't right.
Yes.
This is not the spot that when I've gone through here, this is where we ended up. So,
Scarlett's got her eyes on the prize, though, and she says, this just means we have to go
this
through
door
the door.
that I wanted to go through. And I'll tell you what, she's fucking fearless.
Oh, yeah.
She's
I don't know
got
how
no
She
fear.
wants the stone.
Answers.
we keep going, is what she kept saying. I keep saying I would have stopped. Fuck no. Let me go back right now.
Yeah. And it would have been the right call.
So they go through this doorway, and instantly the first thing on the wall is Pappy's tag. His graffiti tag is written on the wall. In the doorway, past the doorway, he said he had never traveled through.
They're thinking he's a liar.
They're
He's
like,
like,
what
no,
the
I've
fuck is
never been
this?
here.
You've never been here. What is this? And there was a little bit of a difference to it. You know, it wasn't his tag that he had just done previously. There was a little ... It looked not the exact same.
Yep.
So now Pappy is officially shook. He is not leading this venture. Scarlet is the one pushing the charge. And they run into this cult-like group that's singing, chanting around a fire. And the ominous character that was in the catacombs that led them to Pappy
Was in there.
was in there.
No. So I just was educating myself on a
Okay.
couple things I was confused about. The anonymous character that led them to Pappy was... I'll get to it later.
Okay.
It actually makes sense now that I read that.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So they passed this like weird cult
yes.
gathering.
Yes. And they keep traveling, and it's right after this cult that they hear a phone ringing. And they're like, well, what the fuck is
Oh, the
that?
phone.
Pappy is explaining that they did run telephone lines back in the day, but they ripped them all out when they renovated and closed down the sections that were dangerous of possibly caving in. But this phone is for sure ringing, and it's getting louder. And Scarlet, she books it. She starts running towards that phone. The whole crew is keeping up, and finally Scarlet answers the phone. It's a mumbly voice. I don't really remember what was said. It was really tough to hear.
It was something along the lines of, why didn't you pick up my phone calls?
Yep.
Which you find out more later.
She hammers that phone back down. It doesn't ring again. They continue on. Let's keep going. As Scarlet says.
Yeah, and they turn around and they find Le DuPont, which was Pappy's friend, standing in the corner of the darkness.
Yes.
And they're like, we thought you were dead. He's like, no, but I know a way out. And so they follow him.
And this is where they take him deeper and deeper. Now, the sketchy thing, if you watch the movie, what they wanted to do was shoot about halfway down, like down in the catacombs, like 300...
350 some feet.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was like 660 feet or 67 feet is where the gates of hell are. And you have to go exactly halfway according to those
The
scriptures.
theories. Yep.
Yeah.
The
I
alchemist.
had a butthole beef about the scripture shit. So when he's deciphering it and he's reading it, it rhymes in English. And I don't think that's how language works. Because I only know like a little bit of Spanish, but I know words that rhyme in Spanish don't necessarily rhyme in English and make sense as a poem when you're deciphering it. So I'm wondering, I'm going to notice that in other movies now when they're doing that. It's like, how is it perfect in English as this poem when you're translating it? It would not make sense.
That brings you down 1/10 of a point on the review now.
Probably.
Like, well,
Okay. So, I'm sorry. Who's the creepy guy that?
They DuPont,
They
maybe.
DuPont, yeah.
I'm not
The
sure.
mole.
Yes, the mole
He lived in the caves.
takes them to where they need to go, and they just keep going down and down and down, and there's no way of telling where they were. I kind of had my heart beating hard once they met that guy. He was
He's
off.
creepy. He was definitely off.
And the whole time there's the token black guy, Benji. And I was thinking the whole time, Benji's gonna die first. This movie is gonna turn and it's gonna be Benji. So they start heading down this cellar, or a well it looks like, and they set up a little grappling system. They're rappelling down, and I'm like, this is it. This is where Benji's gonna die. Something happens to Benji. He does save himself. He just burns the shit out of his hands. And then they continue. And this is where they start each experiencing their weirdnesses.
Well, so at that point, did they go into the tomb yet?
They had found the secret entrance door. Scarlett and George work together, find the secret entrance, and then they're in the tomb with the old man.
Okay, and Lady Pont is there at this point, right?
Yes, Lady Pont had found them.
Because they had gotten there, and they're like, this isn't a way out.
Yes.
And he was like, well...
This is it. This is it. And this is when Scarlett and George actually put together the riddle, and they turn off all their flashlights. And then they see a light from somewhere. She jumps in the water, tears apart this other secret opening.
Probably the scariest thing that they did.
Yes.
Is
turn the lights off?
Oh, no, just to say, oh, there's a tiny bit of light coming through this underwater cave. Let me go dive head first and try to swim through there. Because you don't know how far it is. You could be going thinking, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. You're past the point of no return. Boom, you're done. Why would you swim under? Oh, God, I fucking hate that shit.
This was the 5th time that they had said, we keep going, where I would not have gone, okay? These people were on a mission.
Yep.
They go underneath this water passage. It pops out to the other side where there's treasures.
The treasure and...
the secret hieroglyphics that contain the Sorcerer's Stone. So,
And
Scarlet,
did you say what the Sorcerer's Stone does?
I think you brought it up. It's about...
mythical healing powers.
And it can turn
Injured people.
metals into gold and silver
Oh, that's right.
and stuff like that. Alchemy. I don't know what alchemy is, but it has to do with alchemy.
Alchemy is like witchcraft. It's like you said, changing stuff, turning stuff into what it's not really.
The medieval forerunner of chemistry based on the supposed transformation of matter. It was concerned particularly with attempts to convert base metals into gold or to find a universal elixir.
Yes.
I knew 50% of those words.
Full Metal Alchemist is a great anime. A little older, but holds
Sounds
up.
like a hard rock band.
It does.
It's got some hard rocks in it.
So they find the Sorcerer's Stone, but
Yes.
they're reading this scripture in Arabic.
George and Scarlett are just obsessed with this whole.
Yeah. They're 6
Scripture.
to midnight on this scripture, right? While everyone else is like, oh shit, gold, like awesome. They're trying to tear down that gate.
And get at the treasures.
And as they're tearing it down, they're like, it's a trap.
It's a trap.
Right after they pop the stone out and realize the rest of their surrounding, they're like, no, trap. Too late. Doors ripped open.
It's like they'd never seen Aladdin before.
Exactly.
It starts collapsing in on them.
So what do?
Scatter.
No. It actually, the whole thing had collapsed on them. And then they had to figure out a different way out. And this is when As Above, So Below came back. And they realized there was a low point where they could escape. There was a way to escape this trapdoor.
They had to go down the hole.
They had to smash out a fake wall, a fake floor that goes down. And they did a little test, and I think we can survive. We just have to jump. We just have to trust ourselves and jump for it. So the whole crew jumps down.
No, not
was
at that
later.
point. Not at that point. They take a rope down. All the way down. But I think, so what happened was...
Yeah, that was towards the end, what you were just saying.
No, because they go down and then they go through a tunnel
Yeah, but
that's
the-
got the scripture.
Just trust it. That was the
later.
end.
Yes, okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. So they jump down. There's the tunnel. They go through the tunnel, and the tunnel had the scripture, the gates of hell, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they go through this tunnel, and as they come out of the tunnel, It's like a barely little opening, and they go into the treasure room again. And it's after all of them get through that tunnel, they look back and it's closed up. They're back in the treasure room where the Sorcerer's Stone was and all the treasure, with the same water tunnel back to the tomb that held the old guy, but things are just a little different. And their friend is also not the same.
DuPont is back.
DuPont is back.
And Suxi's like going up there like, are you okay? Are you okay? And she goes and puts her hand on him.
Because he had disappeared when the tomb had collapsed on him. The treasure room collapsed on him. And this is after they get on the other side of the tomb. The old guy that was just laying there preserved was now like really decayed and standing up.
Yep.
And this is when DuPont just loses it, kills Suxi, just smashes her head on the floor, and they start losing their minds. The rest of the crew just starts running. They start taking off and trying to make their way back.
So they work their way down a hole again.
It's like a reverse world of what they just came through.
Every channel they had gone, they're now going just deeper and deeper to who knows where. It's tough to understand because they keep going down.
Yeah.
Another well goes down, and this is when that ominous female character slashes the line on Benji. He drops like a sack of potatoes and dies.
So what was the bit you had on her?
Not on her, on the guy.
The guy that had given the clue to Pappy?
Yeah, so that they start seeing things that all have to do with
their past.
Shit that happened in their past. And so they come across a burning car.
Yes.
And Benji is drawn to that burning car. The person inside that burning car was one of Benji's friends.
Pappy,
yeah.
Yep.
One of Pappy's friends. And that was the one who told them to go find Pappy. That disappeared. Was the guy who was inside the car. His friend who died.
Oh,
I didn't put that together either.
So one thing that we're realizing is that these people are feeling bad about
something
a death
in their past
that happened. So Pappy, that guy died in a car fire. And so Pappy tries to go over there. Then the guy grabs him, pulls him into the car fire, and then the car like disappears. But Pappy's legs are stuck underneath the ground or above the ground, but his body's below, and boom, he's gone.
Dead. So now the only people left are Zed, George, and Scarlet. And now it's changed from a recovery mission of treasure to just a survival mission.
Get the hell out of here.
Get the fuck out. And they are running through this reverse maze as best they can. The water tunnel that was covered in bone is where George sees the face of his young brother that drowned while he was a kid. And he's just so convinced it's him, but they convince him to keep going. He makes his way out of there, thankfully, because he definitely would have got sucked up there without a doubt.
Easily.
And there was, right after they took the stone, didn't she heal someone?
Yeah, so after she took the stone, the girl, Suxi, got crushed.
She broke her arm.
And she sprinkled it on her arm, and her arm healed up like perfect.
Yeah.
But then once they got to the other side, it wasn't working.
Yep.
Yeah, they tried to heal Suxi after LaPont had bashed her face in, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So they thought that it just couldn't heal the dead. Dead people couldn't be healed by it, is what they assumed. So they kept traveling. But it's when they get attacked by, the gargoyle guys? They're statues 1 second, and then boom, they break out of the statues.
But they can't make a tackle.
No.
They bite Georgie right on the neck. He's got a huge neck wound. There's some culty guys sitting around a fire. And this is, I think, Zed's past that's coming back to him. So Scarlet leaves Zed to care with George while she discovers she has to run all the way back from the other side of the treasure room and swap the first Sorcerer's Stone with what they think is the real Sorcerer's Stone now.
And she thinks the Sorcerer's Stone was a clue within itself, and it has to be returned
to work.
To find the real one.
Yep.
Yes. So she goes back.
Stiff arms, Derek Henry's, these gargoyle guys.
Now runs through all the challenges, basically from the beginning.
She
again.
Pulled down into some bloody stream
that
she escapes from.
Climbs up the rope, and then her dad is up there hanging, which at the beginning, you found out that he had hung himself.
And she sees that vision in the caves in Iran at the beginning too.
Yeah, the noose is hanging.
Yeah.
There's some flashbacks of what
Yep.
she saw. So she makes her way all the way back, fighting all these gargoyles and bloody people and demons and whatnot. Swaps the stone back into the hieroglyphics, and she didn't have a stone anymore, right?
Yeah.
The stone was
She-
returned. She gets back.
Well, no. So she
Swapped
rubbed the
them.
wall. She didn't swap it. She returned the
Oh.
stone. She rubbed it, and it turned the thing to gold. The mirror that was there. So she is the stone.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Oh,
She realized
that's what that was showing.
I have this power now. I have the power of the stone. That's because she turned the thing to gold by touching it.
Damn.
She runs back, goes down the thing, and before she goes down the hole,
stiff
she
arm of the gargoyles.
hugs her dead dad.
Running a 4-2, easy.
She's quick. She hugs him and she's like, "I'm sorry for not answering the phone call. I wish I would have." Which
She
preludes
opens
back
her
to
eyes.
the phone that rang in the catacombs.
Why didn't she call? Why didn't she answer?
Yep. So that was her dad. And then she goes down, runs back over the bloody stream hands, and stiff arms a gargoyle again.
Boom.
Spin moves. Like just obliterates
Zed
them.
and George are not where
That
she
was-
left them.
That was AP running over that Steelers guy back in 2009 or whatever it was.
A strong stiff arm.
Yes. She gets back to Georgie and ends up bringing Georgie back from the dead.
With a kiss.
He wasn't dead, but
Yes.
he was dying.
She kissed him, held on to his neck, and boom. He came back to life, totally healed. The three get up, start running around. They go.
This is where they find the tunnel or the hole
Yeah.
Yes.
that seems bottomless.
Yes.
And she says, we just need to jump.
We just gotta believe.
Yeah.
They jump, fall into a goofy looking fucking cellar, and there's something on the floor. They have to push really fucking hard.
They're trying to pull it.
Yeah, they're trying to pull it. It's not budging, but then it kind of rumbles, and they push. They realize they have to push it down, move it out of the way, and they kind of take a test object and throw it. It just kind of gets out of the hole. So they think this is freedom. Who knows where it goes, but they're going down. And it's when they go down, it now comes out to the streets of Paris.
And
What
they're
they
out.
consider down is
Was going up
reverse
a
of
manhole.
gravity. So they goofily crawl out of that fucking manhole and close it up. And now they're just
On the streets of Paris.
And then Zed looks at him and walks away.
like, I'm never fucking
I
going
just-
back there again.
I just took a trip through hell with you guys. And that's what it was supposed to be, basically,
Well,
right?
you know what Rodney Atkins says?
Who is that?
Country singer.
Never heard of her.
If you're going through hell, keep on.
Keep on going.
Don't slow down.
If
If you're scared, don't show it.
Well, that's because you think they'd have been more in Asia?
Spot on.
I like that one a lot.
That's what you would think.
Yeah, I was like, they went all the way through the world somehow. It was trippy.
It was trippy.
It
I
was
enjoyed
scary.
it
Like I said, the last half hour, I was peeking through my fingers.
I was peeking at my phone for the last half hour, and I I was reading up on it, trying to figure out some things that are confusing me. I might watch it again now that I kind of understand it. Probably not, though. List is too long.
Yes. So, like we said, Scarlet Smoke Show. The rest of the movie.
Hour and a half.
Yeah, it was a good timing.
It's probably in first 45 to 50 minutes. Don't have anything to do with the supernatural or anything like that. More just treasure hunting. It almost seems like a treasure hunter movie until,
The switch is flipped.
yeah.
That as soon as you see that like culty chanting stuff, you're like, ooh, watch out. I'll start it off. I actually liked it for what it was. I'm not a scary movie fan, but I would prefer this over Get In, I'd say. So I'm gonna be at about a 6.3. Yeah, 6.3 is where I'll go.
I said when I first got here that I preferred Get In, but I had the outlier on Get In. She's cute. It wasn't terrible. I'll give her a 6 flat.
I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6.5. I enjoyed it. It's worth a watch. Don't have to watch it again or really anytime soon unless you need to catch up on a few things. So maybe you might if you're on your phone for the second half. So I'm going to give it
6.5?
6.5.
And how about Scott?
Scott says, for horror movie films, this might be one of my favorites. I don't often end up on the edge of my seat watching a movie, even horror films. However, the constant suspense with not knowing where they're going along with trusting strangers to lead them to safety and the first-person camera plus the claustrophobia of the caves was next level. Add in an Indiana Jones-type treasure hunt and the demonic lore of hell, and you're in for a treat. 8.3.
Scott.
Which brings
At
us...
least you liked it better than Hubie Halloween. But it was his pick, and I would be willing to bet he had seen it before.
I think he has.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was, I mean, if he liked it,
I don't think
I'm
he
not-
watched it this week.
I'm not as upset
I don't think he
with
watched it
his
this
score
week.
for this movie than I was for Hubie Halloween.
What was
'Cause
he?
Hubie
He was
Halloween was a
7.5?
bad movie.
He said 7.5.
Yeah. This movie, I could see why some people thoroughly enjoyed it if they like the genre.
Maybe in 2014 when it came out. I don't think he watched it this week.
I don't know. I know he had a good synopsis on it, but you can Google that.
Is that his second highest score he's ever given?
8.3. He gave Inception a 9.5.
He wasn't high on Back to the Future. He wasn't high on Matrix.
8.3 is the second highest score.
Oh my god!
Second highest favorite movie.
Oh my god, dude.
Which brings our total to a 6.78.
6.8.
6 to 7.
And
It's a watch.
IMDb had it as a 6.2.
So we like it a little bit more than
Scott likes
The
it.
Scott likes
Yeah,
it
that's-
a lot more. What would our average be? 6.3, 6.5. That's 6.27.
Yeah. It's all right. And
6.5, 6.3 plus 6, 6.25, which would have been right there.
All right. So next week we have deer hunting. Me and Brandon are not going to be here. I think we're gonna have to pause the movie review for a little bit.
yeah, it's Gage's pick. He wants to be here to talk about his pick.
Yeah, I'm not gonna send in a fucking 8.3 on a movie I didn't watch and have you guys read it off for me. So
Hasn't seen it since he was 13.
I could pick Austin Powers and The Spy Who Shagged Me, but
So
I'm
you
just
don't-
not gonna do that.
You don't have a movie picked out
I didn't say that.
because we can give it a 2-week prelude.
Is everyone guaranteed to be back in 2 weeks?
I think so.
It depends if Scott's back or not.
Yeah,
Scott will be back.
you sure?
Yeah, I'm
Sure.
Yep, I'm sure. Contract negotiations are going well. Ish.
All right, fine. I'll say it. We're gonna watch Borat 2. We all have Amazon Prime, or
Yep.
Borat. What's the actual name?
Subsequent movie film.
Subsequent movie film.
Unlimited.
Yeah, we're gonna check out Borat. I think it's gonna be funny. I don't know how good it's gonna be, but I want to watch it. So
I need to watch something at the cabin this next week anyways.
it's either that or Holiday. So we're going with Borat.
Paige watched Holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah, she watched it. She said it was good.
Okay.
I mean, it's a Hallmark.
We'll save it for Christmas season. We still have Thanksgiving to go here.
Well, I mean, Holiday can be a lot of different seasons.
Ooh,
Valentine's Day,
Halloween's a holiday.
Easter, Halloween, President's Day.
I'm guessing it's Christmas.
New Year's
though.
Eve.
Ooh, New Year's Eve.
I'm guessing Christmas.
I think it's Christmas. It's
Thanksgiving.
definitely Christmas. They're shopping. I caught a little bit of it.
Oh yeah, right.
I did. The whole thing.
I caught the between the beginning and the end.
We'll have the Butthole Christmas movie one day.
The Christmas special. All right. Well, that wraps up this week's episode. Please
Episode
check us out.
156 in the books.
Yeah.
And they said we'd never make it to 156. Look at us now.
Look at us now.
Look
Here we
at
are.
us.
Last week they said you won't make it to 155, but now we're at 156. Also, 20th movie that we are reviewing.
Oh, that was the 20th anniversary.
This will be the 20th anniversary.
We're gonna have quite the catalog pretty soon here, boys.
Yeah, pretty soon it'll be 180 more.
I bet a lot of Brandon's picks are towards the bottom, but
We'll fact check
But
that.
there, his picks are movies he's never seen either.
Yes.
It's not like, hey, this is my favorite. We're going to watch The Last Days of American Crime 2.
Could you not tell just from his write-up that he had definitely seen that movie before?
Without a doubt.
Oh, yeah,
Like, I
easily.
could see you being
I was on the
edge
edge
of,
of my seat the whole time. Bullshit. You didn't
You
even
looked
watch
up
it.
a fan review on IMDb.
He picked this movie.
With the devil's lore and the Indiana Jones type treasure
and the
hunt.
first person shooting. Oh,
You had that
Scott.
written before you picked this movie.
So we're picking Borat. No way he hasn't seen it before. He's got to get it. He's got to watch it. Otherwise, we're going to call him out.
Absolutely.
Very nice. Go check off.
Oh, bye.
Check out our website,
There's no
www.officialbutthole.com.
way he's watched
We're on
it.
all socials at officialbutthole. Please leave us a rating and review on Apple Music, and we'll see you next time.
Oh,
you already watched it?
Well, I mean, you watched it
Yeah,
recently.
you've seen it in the last. Oh, you said the fucking
The two greatest
Check out our
scientists.
website, www.officialbutthole.com.
It's definitely got some funny parts.
We're on all socials at. The thing I don't like is how much he's. Please leave us a rating and review on advertising. And we'll
been
see you
everywhere.
next time. Yeah. So it could be a stinker.
It had fun parts.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the original in a very long time.
Yeah.
So
Me
maybe
neither.
I'll